Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie Pilon, and I'm the Global Director of Product and Field Marketing at Adjust. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the state of the hyper-casual market. Now, I'm talking about this not only because it's a gaming genre that is absolutely sweeping the charts, but also because we at Adjust recently partnered with Unity to create a comprehensive hyper-casual games report for 2020. You'll be able to get a copy of this after my talk if you come to the Adjust virtual booth. A bit of housekeeping and background on Adjust. We are a global mobile attribution and analytics company with 16 offices around the world. Today, we measure more than 35,000 of the world's largest apps, and now more than ever, we are seeing a huge increase in the number of hyper-casual games that are entering the market, and also the rise of their success. Now, to get started, we should first look at what a hyper-casual game actually is. Typically, they are very lightweight, and I don't just mean the actual app size themselves, I actually mean the mechanics. You should be able to learn how to play by simply watching a video ad. One of the best examples that comes to mind is a game that I played back in 2014 called Flappy Bird. This game was an absolute sensation, and everyone picked it up and was playing with it, and I think it even got kicked out of the App Store at one point, and people were picking up jailbroken devices and sharing it this way. This just shows you how popular hyper-casual games can be because they require just so little investment from the user in order to start playing. There's no need to spend 30 minutes on a tutorial to learn the mechanics or to convince your friends to play against you. You simply download and go. And now because you can learn the game by simply watching an ad, you can see how easy it can be to create games that not only monetize easily and quickly, but they also can die. So these games tend to be recycled through clever cross-promotion of new titles. So once you're playing a game that you like, you might be enticed to play another game from the same developer. So in this way, hyper-casuals are very good at keeping a loyal user base and very good at doing cross-promotion across all their titles. So what's actually happening right now with this gaming genre? Well, it should be no surprise that it's going to be growing even more exponentially. So mobile gaming itself is going to be worth more than $95 billion by 2022. And hyper-casuals are making up 80% of this growth just alone in gaming. Now, if we look at what happened during this sort of shelter in place that we're all faced with right now, we see that hyper-casuals have had a huge increase of installs. They've gone up by 103%. And the same can be said for the actual session. So people aren't just installing the app and churning, they're actually playing once they download the app. If we compare the data in December 2019, we had over 1 billion sessions of hyper-casuals, and it increased even further in March by 72%. And China led this pack by a 300% increase since December. What's interesting, though, is that paid ads themselves have decreased from 80% to 52%. To me, this suggests that hyper-casuals, as I mentioned, who are so good at doing cross-promo, are doing just that. So they're still focused on UA, but they're also taking their users and moving them across the different titles. Now, utilizing cross-promo aside, it should be made very clear that hyper-casuals have a very different strategy than other apps. From a start, when they compare it to other game genres, they're not monetizing in the same way. So they're not focused on doing in-app purchases. They're focused on showing ads. So when you download one of these hyper-casual games, every time you die or you lose a level, you'll probably be shown an ad, and sometimes more than one. So their ROI is driven by the number of ads they can show and the CPI and CPMs that they're able to collect from your gameplay. That's why they focus on doing UA. So it's not just about the quality of the user for them, it's about the quantity and the propensity of these users to engage with the ads, because the more eyeballs that they have within the game, the more likely it is that someone will engage with an ad and create revenue for their app titles. This is why hyper-casual marketers are so focused on UA, and they're moving their user base across all of these new titles and keeping them as activated as they possibly can. So with such a huge success in this app genre, there is a lot that we can all learn across every app vertical on how they operate, and we can apply this to pretty much anyone. So one of the biggest takeaways that we've seen is just the simplicity of the game itself. So you do not need to read a user manual to get started. You also don't need to go through a lengthy 10-step onboarding process or do anything else really. You just pick up the game and go. The minute you've seen an ad, that is the game itself. So it's very, very, very easy. So the simpler you make the mechanics, the easier it is for people to pick up your app and get started. This will reduce churn and reduce friction between the layers of your funnel. Ultimately, you should have more engaged users who really want to be there. This could mean that just making onboarding a lot easier. So instead of having a 10-step process, maybe you have a 2-step process. Also, things like having tactile navigation, and of course, making sure that the ads that you're showing actually match the app experience itself. One of my favorite examples is a relatively old app, I would say, in the ecosystem, and it's Shazam. To me, there's nothing simpler than clicking that big Shazam button in the middle and being taken to the exact song that you were trying to find. And from there, you're actually deep linked into the song itself, whether that's on Spotify or YouTube or whatnot. This is another great way and a great example of what you could be doing to make that experience easier. And that is deep linking. It is a fantastic user experience. It takes it to the absolute next level, as you're bringing users exactly where you want them to go. And this is going to greatly reduce churn and increase engagement. And this can be applied within any app vertical. So whether that's e-commerce or games, it does not matter. You should definitely be using deep links across the board. Now, as I've mentioned, hypercasuals are absolutely the kings of cross-promotion. They never stop communicating with their users. So from the moment that you've installed the app, they're already telling you about the other 10 titles that they probably have on the go at that given moment. So they do this because it's too lucrative not to. Now, not everyone is going to have 10 apps that they can use for cross promotion. That's fair. But the whole idea is that you should continuously be talking to your customers, because if you're not, someone else definitely is. So one thing as a marketer that I always think about from the beginning is to segment your user base. Now, every app is different, so your user segments will absolutely be different as well. The point is that you should segment them to have different messages that cater to those segments. So in gaming, it could just be as simple as segmenting based on what level a user might be. It could be based on users that made in-app purchases or didn't. E-commerce could be people that added something to the cart versus didn't add to the cart, or maybe just on their browsing history and the products that they're interested in. After segmenting, they then can plan your communications strategy. So are you looking to re-engage those users? Maybe you can offer them a special discount, or simply just remind them that you exist. There's so many different channels that you can do this on. You're not just tied to the mobile device. You can do this across a number of different ways. I mean, the other day I heard a radio ad or a podcast ad for Seriously Best Fiends. So there's just so many different ways that you can target your users. It really is up to you to decide. And finally, I see it as very important to test these messages. So one thing that you should never stop doing is testing. So hyper-casual marketers are fantastic at testing. At any given time, on the Adjust platform, they could be running hundreds, if not thousands, of different ad creatives, because they're constantly trying to see which one is going to drive the highest amount of users back to their app. And the same should be true for every type of app vertical, really. So never, ever stop testing, and really leverage the data that you can, which actually brings me to the final point, which is that data is really everything. So as I said, these hyper casuals, they're not making money from in-app purchases. They're monetizing completely by showing ads in their game and collecting that revenue from CPIs. So this is why they're so data-driven. So they're continuously evaluating whether or not the UA they're doing is backing out to profitability. And when these marketers are doing that, as I said, they're testing hundreds of creative variations. They're relying heavily on automation, and that this gives them more time to actually think about the next creative step in this process. So the key here is really to be driven by the data, and you should be diving into the different areas of your app. So an important thing for all marketers actually is to look at the app funnel itself. So being able to pinpoint where users churn and even why they churn is crucial in being able to maximize that profitability of your app. So having the right data and the right analytics to hand will undoubtedly help you do this. So you could take these churn users and turn them into a power segment if you wanted to, with the right message at the right time. You could also do this by, as I said, offering them special promotions to return, and you could do it all with deep linking so that it is a beautiful user experience. And when you're able to unlock this type of insight, there are countless other marketing strategies that you can come into play, from changing the app on a product level to decreasing the onboarding friction, or even running really advanced retargeting and re-engagement campaigns that unlock these valuable users. So I'll end this with a quick summary of these key takeaways. The first is to make your app experience easy. I cannot stress this enough. There's nothing worse than downloading an app and having to go through 20 different steps to even get started. The whole point of mobile is that it should be tactile and it should be fun. So keep that in mind when you're building your app. The second thing is to ensure that your ad creatives match the app itself. No one likes bait and switch, and the same is true for the app experience. So make sure that whatever you're showing is exactly what they'll get within the app. This could even be for retargeting. So if I see a pair of shoes or a new top, I want to be deep linked exactly to that thing within the app. I don't want to have to search for it myself. The third thing is to use deep links. As I said before, this makes such an amazing user experience. So I highly recommend to use deep links often and across everything you possibly can, because it just delights the end user. The fourth thing is to never stop communicating. As I said, if you are not communicating with your customers, there is definitely someone else out there that is. The fifth thing is to test everything. Never stop testing. Never stop asking questions. Don't be complacent. You need to test every creative, every channel, and try new things. Because when you do, you'll get to step 6, which is to write your own marketing playbook. There is no cookie cutter solution for everybody. You need to take your own data to inform your own segments and inform your own marketing decisions. Thank you so much for joining my talk. I really appreciate you all being here, and I look forward to answering any questions you might have at the end of this. And one more plug to please go see our booth and pick up our latest app trends report, or pick up this hyper casual gaming report. Thank you so much.